Hi, this is Tom Bell with SystematicTraffic.com. Today we're going to talk just for a few minutes about how to research a market. And first I want to define what I mean by research a market. For the example that we're going to give here, it's for people who want to start a business providing an information product. That is something that you can deliver via a book, an ebook, a CD, an audio file that's transferred across the internet. It's transferring information to somebody who either pays or you may transfer that information via a report, an audio, to get some other outcome. You might want to establish yourself as an expert. You might want to serve customers that you've already sold something to with an information product. And that applies not just to, you can create an information product to strengthen a sale, not just for where the initial sale was an information product, but if the initial sale was a lawnmower or a pizza pie. And I'll just fill in the blanks with those examples. If you sell lawnmowers, for example, and you create, that's a commodity, pretty much. You can buy a lawnmower any place. So the way to compete is to really add as much value to that customer relationship as you can. So you can sell to that person other lawn equipment or oil or gas or whatever it is that people buy with lawnmowers. And you might create a report on, I don't know, I'm just off the top of my head, the best time of day to cut your grass, or maybe lawn care, maybe the right fertilizers or the right grass seed. I mean, if people have a lawnmower, they're cutting a lawn. So you can figure out what it is that customer needs in addition to your lawnmower. And I know we talk about this a lot in the videos, and that is the best way to find out what the customer is needing or using in addition to their lawnmower. Again, it's not rocket science, but you think it is because so few people do it. Ask, just talk to the customer. And again, this applies to just about anything you can sell. And I'm using a crazy example if we're talking about internet information products, and that's selling lawnmowers. Pizza pies. You can talk to the customers. What are they ordering beside the pizza? Why are they ordering the pizza in the first place? Is it because they're too busy to cook? Maybe, and this is a crazy idea just off the top of my head, the Pizza Joe's Guide to Time Management. And you can find time in people's schedules, and in return they can buy more pizza from you to enjoy their free time with. And maybe it's just a funny, nonsensical example, but I think you get the point. It's about adding value. And in this series of videos, we're going to talk about adding that value with information products. So, we're talking about researching a market, okay? Now, to define what that is, a market is any group of more than one person with a tendency to buy a specific product or service. Now, for our examples, we're going to talk about what I'll call viable markets. And those are markets that are worth playing with, because there's two important things. One, interest, and two, money. Okay? I'll give you an example of how you need both, and maybe some off-the-cuff examples of markets that have one and not the other. One that comes to mind is a market with interest but not a lot of money is on the internet, the whole keyword universe around tattoos. Now, if you do your keyword research, and we're going to talk about that in one of our upcoming videos very soon, but you're doing your keyword research, and if I use terms that don't make sense, just look for the video on keyword research, and we'll clear that up for you. But there's a lot of keywords on the internet surrounding tattoos, and there's just a lot of them. There's millions and millions of clicks, and then when you look at the other half of the equation, the money, there's not a lot of money in those clicks. Like, you can probably buy tattoo clicks for a nickel, 5, maybe 6, 7 cents. And that shows you that it's a lopsided market with a lot of interest and no money. Truth is, people are out looking at pictures of other people's tattoos to get ideas. Now, how you spin that into a money-making enterprise, if we sat down and thought about it, we probably could. But your margins are always going to be kind of tight because you're limited from the very beginning. So that's an example of a market with interest and no money. Now, let's think about it, a market with money and no interest. I have an easy example. A lot of the search engine optimizers and the natural search, Google gurus like to hang their hat on a keyword called mesothelioma. It's a big fancy word for asbestos poisoning. That's my layman's term. I think technically it's a lung cancer that people get when they're exposed to asbestos. It's a really nasty cancer, and the lawyers love it because they can usually point the source at the offending building where the asbestos came from, so it's an easy lawsuit. So the lawyers are all out there battling each other for the money, and they've driven the bid amounts on Google up into, oh, I think it's $80 or $90 now for a single click. Now, that might look attractive if you're a person who can create mesothelioma clicks, but it isn't, because I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I think it's less than 10 searches a week or 10 searches maybe a day. It's just not a very big market, so you can get maybe, by the time Google takes their cut, $30 or $40 for a click, I'm not sure. But if you're only doing that 2 or 3 times a week, on average, there's just not a lot of money in it. So when you're doing your research, you want to get a good balance. For, I guess for a kind of a rule of thumb, you want to use, now here's kind of a sidebar technicality. The automated tools, again, in your keyword research that we're going to talk about on a different video, but just to give you an outline, Overture, which is one of the minor search engines, I think it's now part of Yahoo, so Yahoo Publishing Network maybe, but they're much easier to pull search volume results from, which is cool. Google makes it a little harder, I believe, and what that means is when I say you want 2,000 searches on Overture, just know that that's kind of code for, there's a lot more on Google, but since it's all relative, we set our benchmark somewhere. So let's say for a market to be worth considering, it would return Overture, Yahoo, saying that there's at least 2,000 searches there per month, and that, let's say the minimum money standard or the minimum bid amount would be, say, 50 cents. So if there's not 50 cents a click in the market, and there's not at least 2,000 searches, then they should both be present. A good example, just to point out a balanced market, would be the keyword jobs. Now, jobs is pretty broad, and Monster's having their battle with Craigslist right now, and Craigslist is cleaning their clock, frankly, because, well, they're free. How do you argue with that? In most markets. But jobs is, the last I heard, I think they're commanding 70 or 80 cents per click, and there's millions of clicks every month. So somebody who could get the keyword jobs, and I'm not advising that because we're going to go there in a minute, but if you could get the keyword jobs, you'd have a real monster on your hands. Pardon the pun, monster.com. So you have an idea now of what a balanced niche or a balanced market to go looking for is. So how do you find that market? Let's talk about that. There's the standard way, and I want to talk about that, and you should do it, but we want to go beyond that. So let's just get the basics out of the way first. There's the keyword research, and I'm just going to gloss over that because we're going to do a whole video about keyword research. And that's certain tools that you can find. And I'm going to put a list of these tools on systematictraffic.com, so you can just kind of go and read more and learn what the exact tools are there. So you're going to go do your keyword research, and that's going to point you in the right direction. Now, do you have to do things, do you have to involve yourself in products that you're already an expert on? No, you really don't. Now, if you're a real world business, I have a term affectionately a dirt world business, and trust me, that's not an insulting term, but it's the the bricks and mortar and dirt world. If you have a brick and mortar business, let me be more politically correct, you may kind of have your niche chosen for you. So if you're that hypothetical lawnmower salesman, you're going to want to find ways to serve your people that are involved surrounding that lawnmower or lawn care business. But if you're completely open, don't put yourself in the box that it has to be something that you're already an expert on, because if you do an hour or 2 or 3 of dedicated research on a topic, you're going to know more than 99% of the people out there who are looking for information on that topic, and you can bring them what they're looking for. We could do a whole video on how well you can sleep at night by using your marketing talent and your communication talent to bring knowledge that you just learned to people who need it. It's a balanced value exchange, so you're good. You don't need to be an expert. Certainly don't let the fact that you're not an expert stop you from getting started, because I think that a lot of people just kind of use that excuse. So it's going to be a market that's balanced. It's going to be something that you're may or may not be an expert at. You may or may not even be interested in it, but I will give you this piece of advice.